Hello again. We spend a lot of time talking about storage spaces direct in the context of hyper-converged infrastructure. But you, our customers, tell us you do other things with it too. One that comes up a lot is to use storage spaces direct in Windows Server as a target for backup or archival storage. And for those kinds of use cases, one of the top requested features has been simply to support larger capacity. I think it's safe to say that even outside of IT, everyone today is pretty familiar with the concept of a gigabyte. Right? Everyone has a good intuitive grasp of how big that is. Not that it's a billion bytes, but OK, because of my phone, it's a couple hundred photos or a couple hundred songs. Fair enough. And in IT, I would even venture to say most of us are pretty comfortable with how big a terabyte is. For example, we all get a terabyte, or most of us get a terabyte of OneDrive storage. Personally, I struggle to fill that up. I just don't have enough stuff. And in fact, I can tell you the data tells us that most people don't have enough stuff. But for archival and backup on storage spaces direct, customers have asked us for petabyte scale. 1,000 or thousands of terabytes, millions of gigabytes. So I'm very excited to say that in Windows Server 2019, Storage Spaces Direct supports up to 4 petabytes of raw storage per cluster. And as Jeff said, of course, you can stitch multiple clusters into a cluster set. To put 4 petabytes in perspective, that's enough to store all of Wikipedia in every language with the complete edit history, uncompressed, 50 times. Now, you may say, OK, very nice, Microsoft. You picked a big number. Is it even real? Does 4 petabytes, like, what is that? So the demo that I'd like to show today is the result of a collaboration between Microsoft and Quanta Cloud Technology, QCT. And with what I can only describe as very generous support of Seagate and Samsung, we set out to build the largest Storage Spaces Direct cluster by capacity ever outside of a public cloud. Let's take a look. In Windows Admin Center, we can start and see that we have 8 servers in this environment. We can switch to the Inventory tab and take a look at them. There they are, servers 1 through 8. And they're from, as I said, our friends at QCT. Now, take note of the Quantaplex T21P4U. That's an important SKU. It's new. Because if we switch over to the drives pane, what you'll see is surprising is, despite only having 8 servers, this cluster has over 500 drives in it. Using Windows Admin Center, we can group them by server, and it's kind of neat. We can actually collapse each of the groups and see very clearly that every server in this cluster has 72 drives in it. Now, we can expand one of those groups, like the group for server 1, and take a look and see, OK, so there's, what is that, 8 cache drives, each of them 2 terabytes from our friends at Samsung. These are SSDs. And then we have this enormous long list of hard disks that just goes and goes and goes. And this is, again, this is only server 1, right? We've collapsed all the others. And each of these is an 8 terabyte HDD from our friends at Seagate. What that means is this cluster gives us over 3.5 petabytes of raw storage capacity with just these 8 nodes. So that, we believe, is the largest Storage Spaces Direct cluster ever by storage capacity. So I want to thank our friends at QCT, Samsung, and Seagate for loaning us all of that gear. Now, what's really cool is this isn't just a proof of concept. QCT's actually gone and productized this, so you can order one today. They've been working with Veeam and Accutech to benchmark the system, simulating a realistic backup workload, so they know that it can do a sustained 25 gigabytes per second of data ingest. So that's all writes. And if you multiply that out, that's about 100 terabytes an hour that you can write into this thing. And it's been fully validated and listed under the Windows Server Soft-wareDefifined program, which means you can find it and over 50 other hardware platforms that are ready to go for Storage Spaces Direct at Microsoft.com/WSSD for Windows Server Software Defined. OK, thank you very much. Back to you, Jeff.
Awesome, Cosmos. Thank you.